Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink and a trio of sparkly rainbow cards. So to start off with, I have some smooth white cardstock and the new to me Inkon3 Atelier inks. Honestly, you could pretty much use any like Distress Oxide inks. Any nice blendable inks will work for this. I just got my hands on these more recently and I want to play. So I'm starting off with the cardstock and blending these inks into a rainbow using blending brushes. I have a variety of blending brushes. Some of them are from Honeybee. Some of the color ones I think are from Simon Says Stamp. Any blending brushes also will work for this. I'm also tempted to try blending foams with these too, because I do like my blending foams once the Ranger ones, once they get like really saturated with ink. And for, techniques and that, they can be really nice, but blending brushes also work amazingly. So I'm working kind of in a diagonal because I'm trying to fit all of these inks onto these pieces of cardstock, which at the moment are slightly larger than A2 size, because I am going to die cut them in a minute once I'm done actually creating these backgrounds. So since I was doing one, why not do two? Always try to do multiples when I can, when I'm making cards, because all the supplies are out, everything's right there, why not? So I did all my blending. I didn't do perfect blending. I wasn't concerned with this because I'm going to spray these and die cut these and all that kind of stuff. So you won't even be able to tell. So I cleaned up my mess. I was working on my Waffle Flower Water Media Mat as well, which I really like when I'm ink blending just because it kind of grips the paper. And then with my blending brushes, I always just clean them off on a microfiber towel like this one. And you can see it is full of ink. I will be washing it pretty soon because it's like saturated, but that's all I do. And then if I feel the need, I'll wash my brushes with just mild soap and water and they're fine, but I have yet to actually wash any of my brushes. So I set everything aside, I protected my work surface, and then I put these backgrounds into my splat box, and then I am going to spray these down with Imagine Crafts Sheer Shimmer Craft Spray in the sparkle finish. So you have to shake it up really, really well to get that sparkle that settles at the bottom to like evenly disperse through the bottle. And then I sprayed these heavily with that sheer spray. I wanted it sparkle. And I'm going to show here in a second. I let them dry and then I turned the flash on my phone and oh, the sparkle is so gorgeous. I love it. I want to spray all of it. Every time I pull out the spray, I want to spray all the things with this. So now I've got my rainbow backgrounds. They're all sparkly. I'm going to start die cutting. So I have Honeybee's Fluttering Hearts pierced cover plate. That's the one on the right, or the one on the left. And then I have the Fluttering Hearts cover plate, which is the one on the right that actually die cuts the heart. The pierced one only pierces the detail. So the piercing one I set aside. The Fluttering Hearts cover plate, you can see it here. It's still on my cutting mat from my Spellbinders Platinum machine. So I thought ahead and decided that there was a way for me to get 3 cards out of this. So what I did was I took a piece of press and seal, and this is one of the few times where it's like you need press and seal. This is the only thing that I know of that'll work. So I have the whole cover plate and all those hearts that normally would just fall out, when you pull off this from the die cutting plate. So I press that press and seal really, really well onto this so it picks up the entire piece. I even used one of my little spatulas, like a little metal spatula here, or palette knife to lift it from the cutting plate, because sometimes how like die cuts want to stick to the cutting plate. So at this point I'm being very careful to remove just the Fluttering Hearts cover plate die cut. I want all the hearts to stick to the press and seal. So I just took my time and used my little craft pick to kind of press the hearts back onto the press and seal when it, kind of wanted to pull it up. And then just carefully removed the main, like, Fluttering Hearts cover plate die cut. And then I will show in a couple minutes what I do with all those hearts stuck to the press and seal. So they're all nicely, in perfect order, all placed there, just like so. So I can set this aside while I work on other things. So I could make just one card like so, and just layer those 2 die cuts together, and it looks gorgeous. But like I always want to do, I want to make more than one card. So I die cut white cardstock with both of those cover plate wafer dies, the pierced and just the Fluttering Hearts cover plate. And by alternating them, I get 2 card fronts, and then I will get the third with those other hearts in a minute. So then once I've done all that, I want to do sentiments for all these cards. So I'm using the Kisses, the Heart, and the XOXO wafer dies. All of them I die cut the word from white cardstock, the outline from black cardstock, and then the pierced outline from vellum. And I'm just adhering them all together. So I did the kisses first, and then I have the XOXO, exact same thing. White letters, black outline, vellum. I always find that when I'm doing anything like really rainbow, like the whole background is rainbow, you know, there's a lot of rainbow going on. I really like keeping everything else like very simple, either very white, very black, or black and white, just clean, crisp, and everything just pops more, in my opinion. So I did that, and then I used the heart wafer dies, exact same thing, layer them together, and then I die cut the outline with the piercing detail from the vellum and adhered all of those together. So once I've got all my sentiments adhered, this is when I fully decided I'm gonna do a third card. So I still have all those hearts, so I just flip this over. They're all stuck to the press and seal. So I add little dabs of my adhesive to the back of all these hearts. I'm trying not to add too much. I don't want the, like, you know, the glue like oozing out. And then I die cut another piece of white cardstock with just the Fluttering Hearts pierced cover plate. And then I flipped over that press and seal and lined it up as best as I could over top of that. Pressed it down really, really well. You could let it completely dry if you're confident that you didn't let the glue ooze out. But I removed it a little quicker because I knew some of them, I had put them a little off center. So this way I was able to just gently kind of peel off the press and seal and then align some of those hearts just a little bit better, just to satisfy myself. So that way I now have 3 card backgrounds from those 2 main die cuts. So if I hadn't have done that with the third, honestly, I would have saved those hearts to use on the inside, which I ended up actually making more. Or just save the hearts for other projects, other cards, because that's the great thing with that cover plate wafer die is you just get a ton of embellishments, basically. So you could run it through with red cardstock, black cardstock, etc., and you just have a ton of different shapes and different sizes of hearts, which love. Because especially this time of year, but really any time of year, I always like adding little, you know, hearts to a bunch of my cards. So I set those aside, and then I finished my sentiments by using the coordinating stamp sets to all those die cuts. So the same, like the heart stamp set, the kisses, and the XOXO stamp sets. And I chose sentiments from all of them, and I white heat embossed them onto black cardstock. The ones that were just, I'll call them plain sentiments, I trimmed down with my paper trimmer. And then the one from the XOXO set, there are actually coordinating wafer dies for those. So I die cut that just because I could. So after I had done all of my sentiments, it's time to just start assembling these card fronts. So all I did was use the same adhesive and put it on the back of the die cut cover plate pieces. And basically just went around the perimeter and then just added dabs here and there. You don't need to cover the whole thing. That takes too long and it's not necessary. So added all that adhesive, and then I adhered the sentiments and whatnot. And with the large die cut sentiments, I only put the adhesive directly behind the cardstock portion of these. You can see I'm not going past that because I don't want the adhesive to ooze out past the cardstock because you'd see it through the vellum. So I just add a little bit of adhesive behind the cardstock and it's good to go. All these sentiments are, you could say, beefy enough that it's easy to add the adhesive and you don't have to worry about it. So adhered that and then did the exact same thing with each card front. Just added the adhesive to the perimeter of the cover plate and then flipped that over and then adhered it on top of the pierced die cut cover plate, which I don't know how well it's showing up on camera. I think you can see it in the pictures at the end, but it just gives it that little extra something because all those hearts on the inside, so in this case the white portion, have all the piercing detail around every single heart, which I just love. So adhered the sentiments. And then since I used all those die cut hearts, I needed extras. So I just quickly ended up blending another piece of just a scrap of cardstock with the same inks, sprayed it with a shimmer spray, let it dry, and then just ran it through with that Fluttering Hearts cover plate. So I now have a bunch of rainbow hearts, and I'm just going to adhere them to the insides of these cards because anyone who knows me knows I can't leave the insides of my cards blank. It drives me insane. It needs something, even if it's not a sentiment, either a little, you know, die cuts like this or a little stamp something or a little bit of pattern paper. So I just adhered the hearts to the insides of the cards, and then I'm going to adhere the card fronts to the outside. All of these cards are A2 size, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and these cover plate dies are the same size, so they completely cover the card base if it's an A2 size. So adhering all of these to my cards, and then off camera I ended up adding some crystals because, again, anyone who knows me, I can't not have the bling. Even with the sparkly backgrounds, I needed more bling. So I adhered a bunch of crystals to these cards as well, just to add the bling. You can never have too much. So once I was done that, all these cards are complete. And again, I'll turn on my flashlight on my phone to kind of give an idea. It's another one of those things though that you can kind of see it here on camera, but in real life, it's so pretty. Sparkle and these hearts and the piercing detail, all that fun stuff. So as always, I will have a link below the video to the blog post. I will have a supply list with links to all the supplies I used and showed here, so you can check that out below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye!